Welcome to Grace Springs Family Network in partnership with Focus on the Family, where it's about redeeming a nation one family at a time. At Grace Springs Family Network, we offer counseling services, mental health services, individual counseling services, couples counseling services, marriage counseling services, parenting counseling services, and we deal with any life challenge that you may be facing. We bring you internationally recognized expertise and biblical grounded resources to strengthen families, promote mental wellness, and foster meaningful relationships across Uganda and beyond. And today in the studio with me is Reverend Dr. Jasper Tumuhimbise, Group CEO, Church Commissioners. The topic at hand today is how to build meaningful, fulfilling relationships through appropriate conflict management strategies. So welcome, Reverend Dr. Jasper Tumuhimbise. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you
to have you. Welcome.
My friend Beat. He's glad that I'm here.
It's always a pleasure to have you. I like your approach because you walk the talk. You're not giving us theory, but you're giving us something you've walked. And so you are tested and you have found to be the appropriate person to discuss this. And the topic for today is about conflict management in relationships. So, Reverend Doctor, you've listened to that clip.
I have.
From Dave and Ann Wilson of Focus on the Family. And they were discussing how to build strong relationships through proper conflict management.
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and it is part of our history and part of our environment. Because
I think
conflict is real.
Conflict is real.
Yes. Even this morning, my conflict
you had a
reports
conflict
with my wife is about Christmas tree, that I must buy for her a Christmas tree. And it has been, I think she has been mentioning it for 5 days.
Wow.
And I had been ignoring. So, I mean, I must solve that conflict through yielding to purchase of a Christmas tree. So that we are okay.
It's really real, eh?
It is real.
It's a daily thing.
Yes.
Now for me, I even have these young adults in the house. And some think, they are telling me that this whole Christmas tree thing, it started from some satanic sources. So we shouldn't even have it.
So that...
But we live with a grandchild who believes we must have a Christmas tree with lights.
If it is to be Christmas.
So I like the way Dave and Ann bring it out in this recording of Focus on the Family. It's a journey. They took a whole long journey learning conflict resolution. And they actually bring out the issue that we go to school to learn about many other things, but we don't learn about relationships and how to manage them. And so we grow up and then we start relating with so many assumptions. So many assumptions. Can you tell me some of those assumptions you had as you were getting
of course,
into?
They say they are married for more than 40 years, meaning it has been a journey of conflict, conflict resolution, again conflict, and conflict resolution. Of course, they bring it out very well. But they are basically about 4 things that bring conflict. One is the environment, especially from the African context. The environment we grew up in. Environment.
Yes.
Me, I come from a polygamous relationship. My wife comes from a pure monogamous relationship.
So the background, the mindset, the worldview.
Even about marriage. Now I marry somebody who doesn't know what hate means. Me, I grew up in how to hate, who to hate, when to hate. I marry somebody, I tell her, please don't go to that family. And she's like, what? And it is a total conflict from the beginning. Why? Because of different backgrounds,
different perspectives.
I will come to it later on how we resolve it.
So Reverend, you're saying then that conflict management requires a level of commitment.
Yes.
You have to be committed
and
to work through it and deliberate.
Deliberate
but you also have to know how to do it.
Yes.
Do you think different personalities respond to conflict differently?
Yes, I mean,
can you talk into that?
Like chronic, I hate a challenge. I hated a challenge.
So you're a competitive.
I mean, to say you are challenging me. Why? Because
so you have to win a conflict.
Because I must win. I will begin it, but I also end it by me winning.
Yes.
So maturity means that I'm able to know my personality,
self-awareness.
type,
yes.
self-awareness,
yes.
and the strength of
yes.
that personality
yes.
type,
yes.
the weaknesses,
yes.
so that now I work on the weaknesses, especially when it is time of conflict. I also know my partner, melancholy, the strength is 1, 2, 3, well organized, they are patient, they are what?
Detailed.
Then what are their weaknesses? So in a conflict, I will try to say, already this is my weakness, this is her weakness. So how do I work on it? And of course it takes time. It takes
being
time.
Systematic.
Yes. And
now, in case of Dave and Anne, Anne was the competitive one.
Yes.
I think she was the melancholy one. Because she said for her she had to win. She even ran after him.
Yes.
And he said, face it like a man, don't be a chicken. You come over here, let's argue. And they had to work it out. And the man was avoiding. So there are types of those who avoid. They think the way to manage conflict is to avoid. So Dave was an avoider, and Anne was the
initiator. And of course,
the one who said, I have to win.
Yes, and the moment you have such a personality type,
yes,
and you also want to win,
yes,
then the conflict may end up in separation or divorce. So the mature one won't just withdraw. They will begin a process on knowing how do I handle the other one? How can we delay this decision? You get
so
it.
What would you say to those who would rather avoid conflict?
So again, a conflict is unavoidable. It's a
constant in life. Yes.
So the only thing is on how to manage it, and then the end result. What do I really want to see in my family?
Okay.
What do I want to portray outside? If in this case of disagreement, ultimately what did I want? But now, in terms of conflict, you'll find that you have put upside down priorities. You want to have...
What about those now who yield? Those who would rather say, okay, you compromise and you're like, for the sake of peace, it is okay, it's okay, let's go. Which I was, as a young wife, I would, when arguments would come and conflict, I would rather say, man, for the sake of peace, okay. Let's go with what you think. Though deep down,
for the sake of peace.
You know,
so peace is defined as mental calmness.
You can kneel, but in your heart you're standing.
Yes, you are standing. So, for the sake of peace, but you are not peaceful.
So it's pseudo peace.
Because it is not mental calmness. Okay. Inside you are boiling. So when she says, okay, sorry, to me, okay, sorry.
You have to dig.
Then for me, it is not sorry. Okay, sorry. Meaning, the sorry is coming to say, okay, let's keep peace. No. For me, I will now say, why are you saying okay?
But she will tell you that we are told to pursue peace.
Yeah, we
the
are
Bible
told.
Says pursue peace.
In fact,
so what if she quotes that 12, for you?
It says that as far as it depends on you. So
keep peace.
Keep peace.
Yes.
But then keep peace for who? And again, are you peaceful as you keep peace?
Like for real?
Yes,
or
for
is it
real.
Pseudo peace?
When you are yielding, did you have peace?
No.
The answer is no.
So
pursuing peace means peace for me, mental calmness, but also peace for my partner.
You actually bottle anger, resentment, and bitterness. You're yielding for the sake of not arguing.
Yes, and when the volcano bursts,
it's bad news.
It is bad news. It is either I want a divorce, I want out, I want to kunova. Now I'm again using the Uganda language, meaning going away to your parents or to your in-laws for a time. And again, the moment that happens, it means that we never managed the conflict. somebody yielded, and then bottled up whatever, and when they burst, by the way, two dangers. One is distress, that somebody can get stress and have a mental breakdown. Why? Because they have put in.
Yes.
I have a lady, she is now in USA. She rang me recently. She went in 2019. She bottled up. When she burst out, she just got a visa, USA. Now these are 5 years. The husband is in Uganda. He also so recently got a mental breakdown.
My goodness. Okay.
Why? Because he's being judged. So it is not yielding for the sake. No.
Yes, it doesn't
Please
work.
put your card down. Say why you are disagreeing. Again, when my wife says, okay, sorry. For me, it is not sorry.
Yes.
We must deal with okay.
Yeah. So, Reverend Doctor, we have seen this type. There's a type of competitor, the competitor where you must win. It's a win-lose. I either win or you lose. Then we have seen one where one yields. But really not in agreement. Not in agreement. The third one is where now both of them decide not to handle, which is a lose-lose. So how is that, and
so
how is that?
You stay in the same house. Sometimes even in the same bed.
You become roommates.
But you are really lose. And of course, I normally go to focus on the family. There was one couple, Bob and Audrey, where that lose. When it happened, one would be on one bedside, another on the other one. They are both crying. They are both on pressure to burst.
And they are not handling both of them.
Why? Because it is pride. Who wins? Now, for an African man,
especially a Muchiga.
Yes.
Muchiga Musiji.
How can I lose to a woman? Whom does she think she is? I paid dowry. Now, again, there are certain contexts where those happen. But lose will end up in distress, either mental problems, and you need counseling, or separation. And sometimes separation is not physical. Yes, you are in the same house, but you are cooking 2 pots of food. You are in the same house, but you can't pray together. You are in the same house, and there is no total communication.
So you are really losers.
You are losers.
You are losers.
And that's the tragedy of pride.
Okay. So we are saying, as Grace Springs Family Network, in partnership with Focus on the Family, we are promoting healthy relationships. And that yielding, the lose-lose, the competition cannot work well. So the fourth one
is
now,
win-win.
Win-win. Talk to me about win-win.
It means actually it is part that conflict is inevitable, but how do we now handle it for the better?
The how.
You know, the Bible is interesting. That out of a bad situation, you can have a very nice outcome through God's help. So win-win means you are mature enough, patient enough to begin analyzing, by the way, what is behind this disagreement? Why are we disagreeing? I will give one example. Our child got good aggregates, I mean, for primary 7. So we had a choice of 2 schools. He was taken in 2 schools, all good schools. Do you know, there was a big conflict in our family on which school to go to. Then one day I just sat down. I said, God, we prayed that this child passes. He has passed.
And now
Lord, it is a conflict.
Sincerely.
We prayed for the vehicle to be bought. The vehicle God has given it to us. Now it is the problem. I prayed for a marriage, and I married, Lord. You have given me success. But now marriage is the conflict area. It is like Syria and Afghanistan and what. So you need, to have a win-win, you need the following. Number 1, and as the Focus on the Family said, shut up. Listen. Yes.
But it's not easy to listen.
Like me. Especially those of us now, doctor, 2 masters, 1 statistics degree, and a PhD.
You are listening to
4 degrees. Listening to somebody with
with
The rest
a
are what?
certificate.
Yes, but now maturity means listen up.
But active listening is not easy,
It is
Reverend,
not,
because
yes.
sometimes you listen ready to give your answer, to
Yes,
respond.
and of course I was the type.
I'm listening to you, but waiting for my
For
turn
me, I
to
was
give.
instant. Instant coffee, instant message, instant something.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I wouldn't wait for you to answer me. Why? Because I thought I'm bright. But in marriage, God has taught me tremendously.
So
to
how
listen
did you
up.
develop the skill of active listening?
Yes. One, I read many books.
Okay.
Two, I listen to focus on the family
Okay.
every morning.
Okay.
Conflict
And then-
areas. Number three, we have 8 men. We
Yes.
meet every Friday
Wow.
from 7 to 9 every Friday
An
for now 9
accountability.
years.
Yes.
And
An
let me tell
accountability
you, on
group.
the feet of those 8 men, I have learned how to listen to my wife.
Okay, so you're saying people should be learning.
Learning.
Because these things are not automatic.
Yes, like if you are tuning on now,
Yes.
what are you learning on listening?
Exactly.
Do you have, yes, so
we are grateful for
yes.
Grace Springs Family Network.
Yes, because it helps people to reflect. Whom do I talk to? So I learned how to listen to my wife. And by the way, there is physical listening and non-verbal. Non-verbal means when she removes the glasses, I don't know what
that
it
means. Eh?
When she looks at me and keeps quiet,
Body language.
I know what it means and I will reflect. So we are not dealing with just listen, but also try to know the type of language. Because after living together with somebody, you don't know.
They actually say the verbal words that we use in communication account to only 7% of actual communication.
And you can imagine.
Yes, but the body language, the tone of voice.
Non-verbal, even keeping quiet.
Yes. So shut up and listen.
Listen, yes.
What else?
Then secondly, is soft answer. That in the case of answering.
Yes.
And for us, okay, as a couple, if somebody is angry to speak to you and you see the tone, we gave ourselves liberty to say, okay, excuse me a bit, let me walk around the house.
Wow, that's
so and
wisdom.
it is liberty between me and my wife.
Yes.
So that I do not respond
the same way. Okay.
Angrily.
Okay.
And it has helped us. Why? Because it helps the one who has shouted to reflect, but also helps the one walking around on if I respond like this, what is the outcome? So because for us we look normally at the end. If you say I'm a fool and I respond that you are also a fool, you have two fools shouting to one another.
It's a lose-lose, right?
Yes, it is totally lose-lose. So we have this soft answer. By the way, how do you want me to respond?
Okay, so you've heard.
Yes.
You've heard. This is Grace Springs Family Network in partnership with Focus on the Family. We are discussing building meaningful relationships through proper conflict management. And in the studio, we have Reverend Dr. Jasper Tumuhimbise, and he's telling us, I like his approach because it's very practical with practical examples. So we've gone through types of responses in conflict management. We have the competitor, that one who says, I win, you lose. It's a win-lose, and that doesn't build relationships. We looked at the yielding, where one compromises and says, for the sake of peace, you win. But really, it also doesn't build good relationships. And then we saw the one of lose-lose, where both of you decide, we won't deal with this. I would rather keep in my side, you keep your side. That also doesn't build relationship. And the last one is now the win-win, where you do the actual right relationship. And Dr. Reverend is taking us through now the stages and the steps in now doing a win-win approach to conflict resolution. He has told us that step one, shut up and listen actively. Listen to the tone, listen to the body language, listen to the words, listen to the feelings behind those words. He has also told us that soft answer, do not raise your voice, do not shout, because shouting doesn't answer. But soft response usually calms down anyone, however angry they may be. So keep listening to us. This is Grace Springs Family Network in partnership with focus on the family, where it's about redeeming a nation, one family at a time. Yes, Reverend. So you've told us
Yes.
two
things.
things
Again,
about
listening means listening. Please
Like,
do what? Listen. Of course, the way I read the Bible, I sometimes read the whole chapter and begin listening. What is the Lord
meditating.
telling me in this?
Yes.
Why?
To get the Rhema word.
Yes. Then the soft answer again is, calm down. The world is not ending. Then number 3 is speak the truth in love.
Speak
Now,
the truth in
yes,
love.
I of course I listened. Speaking the truth in love, it doesn't mean, because actually First Evangel wrote
Yes.
that we need to put the truth in an envelope of love.
Wow.
What does this mean? Because as Bachiga, you and me, we are truthful or brutal.
Yes.
Now,
straightforward.
yes, love without truth is sentimentality. Truth without love is brutality.
Wow.
Let me repeat. Love without truth is sentimentality. It is really a falsehood. I love you, I have taken you out, then you are separating the next day. There is no truthfulness in your relationship. Then,
The opposite.
truth without love
Yes.
is brutality.
Brutality.
Yes.
You know, Dave and Anne
Yes.
mentioned it, that Anne used to say, I'm right, I will make my point.
Yes.
And that would really touch a Dave.
Muchiga,
Yes.
sit and I tell you.
Take it or
Hey,
leave
me
it.
I'm saved.
This
Let
is
me
it.
tell you how you are. You are a foolish man. You are what? You are a drunkard. In fact, you go to hell.
Go
All
home.
that, by the way,
Yes,
is true. But how are you packaging it? Are you packaging it for heaven or total hell? And by the way, in Matthew chapter 7, verse 21, Jesus says, many of you will come to me. We did miracles. We prophesied. We did 1, 2, 3. We preached. And he will say, I never knew you. Many women, because of thinking they are
God
telling
forbid,
the truth.
God
Many
forbid.
men, because of thinking they are telling the
We are
truth,
hurting
are on
each
their
other.
way to hell. Why? Because truth must
Has to
be
be
packaged
packaged.
in love.
Yes.
And of course, I come from a background
Yes.
of hard truth. But I can assure you, I learned this. And by the way, the hard way,
Yes.
I was in office and one day I said, by the way, I was the chief executive. I said, please evaluate me. Write about me. 2 things, good things, 2 bad things.
Mama,
And
you were not ready.
speaking the truth without love was the biggest. And one of them wrote that CEO, one time I was pregnant and I want to go for, antenatal.
Yes.
And then when I came to you for permission, you asked me, have you finished the other report? Then she said, no. I said, go and finish it before you go for antenatal.
But that's a choleric. That's
Yes,
choleric.
exactly.
You tend
in
to
me,
be,
I want results.
you want to be more,
This
you are more
business,
task oriented
than
relationship
So
oriented.
in a way, it's told to me, I should have done it the other way around.
Yes.
Somebody is pregnant. That's something that can't wait. A report can surely wait, and the world won't end. So that was number 1, that I would speak the truth without an element of love.
But doctor, I need to commend you there.
Yes.
Because it takes courage to ask people to give
To
feedback.
give feedback.
So I must commend you, and I'm sure you took action after
Yeah,
that.
of course. Now that's why I'm speaking about it.
So
Because
this
I wouldn't
speaking the
give it
truth
another
in love is for those who avoid, the avoidant, those who yield
Yes.
and avoid to deal with. You
Yes,
must speak
I
the
have
truth.
told them, and I feel nice. By the way, you may sleep for 1 hour because you think it was nice, but the other 10 hours you are awake thinking, I should have added this. When you quarrel and you feel you should have added this,
the salt
that's
and
now trying to say truth without love, and there is no peace. Why? The Bible says there is no peace for the wicked.
no.
Yes, truth, yes, but you are wicked. The outcome is to hurt. And so, you are this, I picked you out of garbage. What were you doing in garbage? There is a man who said, hey, he abused the wife that you are a pig. Now, so I said the pig is married to a pig, and they produce piglets. I mean, that's the truth. So
what was the reaction?
Yeah, the reaction was,
Yes.
how can you say that, Reverend? I said, you began it. I was teaching him that even if you think your wife behaves like, surely you need to package it in love.
Yes,
Why?
yes.
Because you are married to her. Same thing with
Yes,
women.
yes.
My husband is useless. Surely,
Yes, yes, yes,
surely,
yes, yes.
surely.
Okay, so this is for those who yield.
Yes.
Those who are saying, I am not going to have conflict for the sake of peace. You
Yes,
win.
and then you speak
The
as if you are
Reverend-
telling the what?
The Reverend is saying, don't keep quiet. You can still verbalize what you're feeling and what is happening to manage conflict. But do it in love. Package
Yes.
it in a manner that is not judgmental, is not accusing, is not condemning, is not abusive, but
Yes.
is respectful and is love, because the goal is actually conflict resolution. And for those who are competitors, he's saying, no, it's not about winning. It's not just about, verbalizing what you're feeling and what you know is truth, but to protect the heart of the person, even as you're doing conflict management. So what type are you? What type of conflict resolution personality are you? It's important to be self-aware so that you know how to deal with this conflict. Once again, we want to thank the Grace Springs Family Network, and in collaboration with Focus on the Family, the partnership is going to enrich the families of Uganda and Africa as we get to understand the secret of perfect, or the most appropriate conflict management styles. So Reverend, we come to the last one. Do you have any other point?
Yes. In other words, is that love, you are speaking the truth, but you are packaging it with love for the outcome. You actually mentioned the issue of goal.
Yes.
What do I want to come out of this disagreement or argument or conflict?
Yes.
It is that I want a neat family that will bring us together. And this brings me to the last point, that try to resolve conflict as soon as it is possible. Okay. Now, for us, we have family meetings every holiday, where I sit with my wife and then children, and we all sit down.
That's so
and
sweet.
One child is a secretary, another one is a chair. We rotate in chairing. And we have found that that's also a place of conflict resolution quickly. Okay. Because something that would have boiled, we bring it to the table. And one time, my two children said, one, that Daddy, these days you are brutal. You just say, Nana, we come, as if I don't have a name. Then another one said, you no longer pay attention to us when we are speaking to you. You are either reading a newspaper or a book, or your Bible. Now it was your Bible. And instead of the chronic, I'm a father, I'm a sarongo. Sarongo means you have twins. I said, oh, my babies, I'm so sorry. Come hug me. We cried. But what I was doing is I'm sorting out a conflict when it is still hot.
But Reverend,
so that my child,
that attitude of humility,
my child, when they are grown up, they become better men and a better lady than me. I have one daughter, and I think you have ever seen her. I want that lady to go and build a home that is better than mommy's, so that we have a generation of people, one family at a time again, as our slogan goes, so that later we are sort of in conflict, because again conflicts will come. And the Bible says in Ephesians that you sort out anger and you don't wait for the what?
It says don't let the sun
go down.
You explain that one.
Meaning, of course, for us we think it is 24 hours. So if you have a conflict at night, the sun has already gone down, surely.
Yes, sure.
All they mean is, please handle this conflict before it becomes a volcano.
Okay, so it's not literal.
It is not literally
so
24
you can say,
hours.
let's give this tomorrow. No, let's revisit this tomorrow.
Let's revisit this tomorrow.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Yes.
My wife, there is this challenge. Can we think about it? Can we pray about it? So you are not totally yielding or shielding it.
Yes.
You are saying, let's think more
Yes,
about this,
yes.
especially
Yes.
if the conflict is not a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
Life and death means health, that if your wife, and I am saying this painfully,
Yes.
there is a couple which I have been working with,
Yes.
and they disagreed on even issue of money. But the result was that the woman would take a child to hospital. Listen, the husband is a bit far away. She would call the husband to say that the child is in the hospital or a clinic. The husband would interpret that as meaning the two things, that she wants money.
That she's lying.
Now, 2 days ago, that child died.
No.
And I get a phone at around 11 p.m. from the woman that my baby has died. I tell my wife that the baby has died. Now, of course, I rang the man. I couldn't tell him that time.
What did you tell him?
I told him the kid has passed on and he's devastated.
My goodness.
But as I came in the vehicle this morning, I was talking to my daughter. He knows them. And we were asking, wouldn't we have avoided this? But suspicion, conflict, without resolution,
my goodness.
continued.
Unresolved
Then,
conflict.
after 9 months, a baby has died.
People,
let me tell you,
unresolved conflict.
it is tough now.
Unresolved
It is
conflict.
tough now to handle that couple.
My
They are
goodness.
burying tomorrow. So it is
I'm sure
tough.
they're not talking.
Okay, what do you now talk about? So it is tough now to resolve that conflict.
But
Why?
Reverend, I want you to talk about how to overcome, because these are ego issues.
Yes.
How do we overcome ego?
Yes.
How do we overcome selfishness to a point that we are humble enough
Yes.
to get involved and participate in conflict management for the good of the family? Now look at this calamity that has happened simply because two people could not trust each other. They didn't have oneness. Please speak into that
So,
family.
3 things. Number 1, pray together.
Yes.
Even in conflict.
Yes.
Pray together about that conflict, either on phone or even with one another. I have found the grace with my wife
Yes.
to hold our hands
Praise
and
the
say,
Lord. Congratulations.
Lord of
Reverend.
Lords, King of Kings, we are
Yes.
disagreeing on our child,
Yes.
where our child should go to these schools.
Yes.
Help us
Yes.
sort this out
Yes.
amicably.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
prayer sorts out many things.
And you know, when you pray about a conflict, you've protected this from the devil.
Exactly.
He cannot use it to cause
Yes.
division.
And then the outcome was, in that school business, we asked the child, by the way, now the conflict is between daddy, mommy,
Imagine.
and the child, and other children are actually outside. Then we said, by the way, children, these 2 schools, where? And God sorted us out.
Through
So
the
that's
children.
yes,
It was an answer to prayer.
but then God uses children to
I
say,
like
because the child said, Daddy, I like playing rugby.
So
This
I'm going
school
to,
plays better
Yes.
rugby. And so we sorted ourselves out. Secondly, communicate, communicate, communicate.
Also communicate the last one?
Yes, the last one is counseling. Now,
Ah.
and if of course it depends on your social network, but we deal with Christian counseling, a counseling focused on bringing together rather than severing. And by the way, Grace Springs Family Network focus on the family is about that, bringing it together.
Yes.
Because there are so many counselors who will say, hey, he looked at you like that, please separate.
Yes.
And for me, when you come and say, my husband looked at me in a bad way, he said, don't look at him. Look at the other side, which is good. So that you know, eventually, you bring out that good part of your husband, but you are looking at the broader picture. Children, relatives, friends.
Picture. I
and
like
then
that.
what about my God?
God.
I want
At
to
the
go
end
to
of
my
the
Jesus
day.
and say, you gave me this lady on 30th August 1997. She was slim, but now
I have fed her.
she has some level of what? Of course, for some people, That's
Thank
dangerous. For me, I want to hand her over to God. The Bible says that's in Ephesians chapter 5, without blemish.
For sports.
And God will say,
Perfect.
well done,
Yes.
my son. So the bigger picture.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so this is Grace Springs Family Network in partnership with Focus on the Family, where we redeem nations one family at a time. I'm your host, Beat Bisangwa, and in studio with me is Reverend Dr. Jasper Tumuhimbise, and we've been discussing building meaningful relationships through proper conflict management. Can you give us your last shot, just a summary of what you want people to go away with?
Again, conflict is inevitable.
You can look
God
in the camera and talk to them.
and ask God and His grace to help you manage conflict, but look at that big picture, the outcome. Because out of our conflicts, we have testimonies. That out of my polygamous background, I'm able to speak
Awesome.
to Grace Springs Family Network, focus on the family,
Yes.
to churches and encouraging people
Yes.
to build marriages after God. Why? Because there was conflict in the beginning.
Yes.
So for every conflict, that's a testimony that I overcame, and therefore you can also overcome.
All right. So this has been Reverend Dr. Jasper Tumuhimbise, Group CEO, Church Commissioners, an expert, and not only expert theoretically, but he's a man who practices, who walks the talk. It's always a pleasure to have you, Reverend. He has reminded us what Grace Springs Family Network and Focus on the Family is about, building strong families through biblical principles. And today's topic was conflict management. He has told us that conflict is normal, it's inevitable, it's something that you'll have to live with. Secondly, that it can be resolved and actually result in better relationship as you learn to communicate effectively. And then he has told us that we need to know the type, our personality types when it comes to conflict resolution. We should not compete, we should not yield, we should not give up, both of us. We should aim for win-win. And how do we do that? Number one, we shut up and we learn to listen actively. Number two, we always give soft answers to be able to calm the situation so that there's no shouting and raising our voices. The third one is to speak the truth in love, package it in a manner that is acceptable so that you can deal with it. And then the fourth one is to agree on the time frame within which to deal with it. But the shorter the time, the better. But if it doesn't work, it's okay. Agree to disagree, pray together, and say we can come back to this tomorrow. So this has been Grace Springs Family Network in partnership with Focus on the Family. Redeeming a nation, one family at a time. Conflict resolution for better families and relationships. We offer services, counseling services, individual. We offer services for wellness, mental wellness, for couples, for parenting, any kind of problems we can deal with. God bless you.
If you need help with any personal or family issue, reach out to Grace Springs on 0779 206677 or WhatsApp on 0746 576